he was sending out a beat that was just ripped from YouTube. It's my most popular beat on YouTube, over 1 million views. So it's recognizable and it's covered in tags. I mean, you're just a manager. It's not that big of a deal. What's going down? It's the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast. I believe this is episode 68. We're in the 60s, though, so that's when, senility starts stepping in and can't keep track of all the numbers. This podcast is powered by BeatStars, beatstars.world. We're live every Monday and every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a free music business mentorship session. I really focus on the production. Dame focuses on more general business, and it's free. It's not something that we take lightly either. So I really encourage everyone to sign up. MusicEntrepreneurClub.com, beatstars.world. Actually, I said sign up. You don't have to sign up. You just tune in.
And if you text MEC to 844-206-7800, we make it even easier for you because we'll send you a text right before we go live to remind you. But before we start out today, Payne, BeatStars has paid out $100 million. That's pretty amazing. I know they hit that mark relatively recently. So
yeah, last
shout
week.
Out to BeatStars. How much of that money was you, Payne?
Good 50 million. I
mean,
wish, but it changes people's lives. I mean, the fact, and here, just to zoom out for a minute, let's just appreciate the fact that $100 million off of just one platform have been paid to, quote, internet, unquote, producers, because, this is still stigmatized. I don't know why, but it still is. And there are still people out there who swear up and down that the internet is dead and selling beats online is dead. And to hit a milestone like this and to see that the trajectory is upwards and has been upwards for the past decade, that really flies in the face of all the discouragement. So I think this is a great thing for all producers to celebrate, whether or not you're a BeatStars member or whether or not you can claim a portion of that $100 million generated. It just shows you how strong the viability of the community really still is.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a pretty impressive number. I know BeatStars has changed many lives, giving people, young creators, an opportunity, probably not just young, probably old creators too, an opportunity to at least have another revenue stream or an opportunity to make a living, doing what you guys love. So, shout out to BeatStars and congrats on that $100 million mark.
They're giving stuff away. I need to mention that because I remember one of the pieces of gear that they're giving away is one of the blue mics, and I really like those mics. I've used them before. Yeah, follow BeatStars on social media. Check out beatstars.com, beatstars.world. They have all the information there. Trust me, this is a good mic, and it's certainly something to celebrate. So, speaking of licensing beats online, I have another horse. Didn't I bring a horse story to the podcast last week? No. Last week we were all good. We were talking about the Music Modernization Act was SIS. Before that, I had a horror story about a songwriter, and this time I have a horror story about beat theft. So I was sitting around minding my own business when I get a Instagram DM from a rapper who just very directly said, somebody is selling your beat. And I said, what are you talking about? He forwards me a message, and it's some guy I don't know the man, and he was sending out a beat that was just ripped from YouTube. It's my most popular beat on YouTube, over 1 million views. So it's recognizable and it's covered in tags. And that's why everybody knew it was mine. That's why he knew it was mine, because it was covered in tags. And it was covered in tags because he ripped it off YouTube, and I always tag my YouTube uploads for this reason. And he was trying to sell it to the guy for $150. I don't know how he was going to sell it, because it's a low quality YouTube rip. with my tags on it. So it's not like he could ask him to remove the tags once he paid for it because he doesn't have access to that version of the track. It didn't make any sense. So I contacted the guy and I was just like, hey, what are you doing, man? What's really happening? And I just love when people get caught in a lie and they make up the weirdest excuse, because his excuse was, nah, sometimes I get inspired by beats, but if you think it sounds like your beat, you can change the drums. It's got my tag on it. What are we?
that
So it was
that
just one of those things where, you hit a brick wall with stupidity and you just can't keep walking into that wall because I'm going to end up knocking myself out, wasting time trying to talk to this guy who's so, I don't know what it is with people who are just liars by nature and just immoral by nature. They assume that everyone else around them is really stupid.
Right. Well, I bet you this has worked. Like, I bet you're not the first person he's ripped a beat from, and
Absolutely.
I bet you he has sold
Yeah.
a beat from another producer he has stolen from. I could I mean, obviously I don't know this cat, but I think it has worked, and
Oh,
that's
I'm sure it's worked.
why he's
I am sure
continued
it's
to do
worked.
it. But yeah, that's all. But I mean, I see. I mean, this is not much different than I know YouTube creators that they post a video, people will strip the video and then like monetize it on their own page. It's like there's all kind of stuff happening online, and it's I kind of feel. I mean, obviously, I feel bad for the creators, but I feel bad for the people that are stealing that have to like stoop that low because they don't have any ideas on their own, or they're just doing that bad that they have to resort to doing shit like this, man. Like it's just so wet. I mean, the beat had your tag in it. Like, how could you possibly defend that? And don't get me wrong. Like, I know, like, there's millions of beats being made every day, right? Like, and some of them have to sound very similar. There's probably some of them that sound almost identical. But if this beat has your tag in it, um, it's crazy. It's unfortunate that we have to deal with this. It's unfortunate that people are in a space that they feel like they have to steal other people's creation in order to make a dollar. And it's even crazier that this works. Like it works. Even when people still like YouTube content, you know, they do get paid sometimes,
Yeah.
and YouTube, it's hard. And YouTube doesn't have like customer service and be like, hey, can you direct that money to my account? Like these big platforms, you're not talking to anybody unless you have, a big enough presence to establish a relationship, directly with any of these big social media platforms. So I think that's why, a lot of these scammers and thieves get away with it because you know there's no customer service on these platforms.
Let me just share this one bit from my email exchange with the dude that was stealing my beats. It's great. And then I'm off it. And then I want to talk about a different scam. But he wrote, "Why put your shit on YouTube if you don't want anyone to use it or get inspired by it? Three question marks. But do you? No, do what you got to do." All right. So that's hilariously stupid. But
So what do you do? So what do you do at this point? And where was he selling it at? Like, did he
just
upload
through
it to
email.
BeatStars? Oh, through
Nah,
email.
just
Okay.
just through email. Because if you put it on BeatStars, that's an easy. Because BeatStars is one of the few platforms that I can actually reach out to and get a response from. But yeah, you're
Mm.
right. It's frustrating. I mean, YouTube, forget it. But even other platforms, you just yeah. And people look at me as having, some kind of social media capital, because maybe I have more followers than the average person, or I'm verified or whatever. I can't get a hold of these people. So anyway,
Right.
you said something I want to pick up on, which is that with the internet, these platforms are so big and so unresponsive, and they don't want to deal with these, what they deem as smaller issues that's a big reason why scams are so rampant. And I especially think that applies to music business scams, because how many artists are there, whether they're producers, rappers, whoever, that are not yet, you know, big brands? Million. I mean, the vast majority of rappers, singers, songwriters, producers are all at this level where we would consider them, and this is, you know, it's a derogatory term, but we would consider them no names, right? And the platforms are the ones that really hurt these guys because, you know, like I said on the episode where I'm talking about the songwriter and his manager filing fraudulent DMCA takedowns against all these smaller, as of yet unknown rappers and having their catalogs erased. The platforms don't care. You couldn't do that to Drake. You couldn't do that to Future, but you can certainly do it to an artist that gets, you know, 2,000 to 5,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. You can get them taken down. The platforms are just going to take it down and say, yeah, you know, it's out of our hands. We don't really care that much. We're not going to moderate this conflict. But that's a horrible thing to, you know, come to terms with, because these are artists whose careers are, you know, just starting and just growing, so that when they realize how little influence they have over their own content because they're using these other platforms, it's just discouraging. So when you're seeing people getting scammed left and right, whether it's producers paying for fake collabs or, you know, guaranteed placements from scammers, or it's rappers paying $600 for a mixtape slot over Twitter or Instagram, all of these profiles are active because the platforms don't care. They're just going to let these people keep scamming. It's $60 here, $100 there, $1,000 there. It's not big enough for them to deem it a problem they need to address. So I think you really really hit the nail on the head with talking about the platform's roles in all of this. And
Well, I don't even know what they can do though, because they are so big. It's not, I mean, I don't think it's just them just sitting there turning a blind eye, but I just I don't know how they could police it, right? Because, and I think I talked about this in another episode, and I saw a comment actually last week. He's like, Dame talks about Big Jaw way too much. I'm like, well, that's my real role outside of. I mean, I have a few roles, but that's one of them that I like to. So I bring examples. But, and I think I spoke about this on a prior podcast, but like, because we drop a new merch item every month, the first of every month. And one month that we did it, you know, I put the shirt up, you know, I started selling really well. And then I went back to his Facebook page and I noticed that somebody had posted a link to another website literally under every comment. And, you know, and Ja gets hundreds of comments pretty quickly. But there was a link to another website selling the exact same shirt. So they basically stripped the logo, put it on like a drop ship. It wasn't like Printful or Printify. It was some random, you know, I don't think it was based in the US. It was some random website where they stripped the new shirt, the logo of the new shirt that we just put up in the morning. So that literally took them like 15 minutes to strip the logo and put it on this other website and have it available for sale. And they posted the link under every comment. I was like, shit. So now I'm over here like trying to get it taken down. And luckily on Facebook, there is a way to kind of block somebody from your page or ban somebody from your page. And it works relatively fast. But, you know, people are coming up with new ways to scam left and right. And I don't know what they can do. They probably can do it. I'm not completely letting them off the hook. I know they can do a better job. You know, but it would be tough because these platforms are so big and there's just so many different ways to try to take advantage of people or to steal, that I foresee it's going to continue to happen.
at the same time, though, if you post a nipple on Instagram, they're on you, and your account is that they at very least delete that image right away.
Right.
So if they can do that, they can shut down. I mean, if someone's reporting a DM and all they have to do is review the DM to see, oh, okay, yeah, this person is selling something that doesn't seem right, and they're doing it to multiple people, and the language is consistent with some kind of copy and paste type operation, we're just going to disable their DMs for a while, or we're going to suspend their account, that kind of thing. But you don't see that happening. So the
But
scam of the year,
you expect, I mean, you know how many DMs this would be and how many investigations this would be. And then there would be like, there would probably be a bunch of fake false claims too. So they really have to like mediate the situation now. Like, is
yeah,
this real? Is it not? Like, you can see how it will become just a hot mess.
but it already is. They're doing this with nudity. They enforce their nudity policies strictly,
But
very
I think that's
strictly.
more. I think they have the technology to be able to like detect nudity as opposed to a technology to detect whether or not that beat was yours.
I'm
Right.
just talking about the scam DMs or the posts or something. If they have automatic dick detection, they can have automatic scam language detection. If something seems, if it looks like someone's sending the same DMs over and over again, that should be a red flag. Or if somebody reports scam or fraud, the same way somebody can report nudity on a post, there's a review process. They're just prioritizing one or the other. I mean, someone posting a
Right.
nipple is not going to hurt my bank account, but for an artist, if they're getting ripped off for $500, that can really affect their lives in a serious way. And this is happening to tons of people. I mean, and the crazy thing too is it'll be isolated. So there are tons of scammers right now operating scams, right? We know that, but there are some main scammer kings and queens that really stand out, and we're all aware of the accusations surrounding that whole Block 365 scam, right? Medium did an article, which I was probably more impressed than I should have been by, and you kind of let me know that anyone can write on Medium. It's a well written article,
So they were DMing from like verified accounts though. So like
right?
Redman and Jada Kiss. So you're saying should have deactivated all? Oh yeah, I think they should have. But that's what you're saying. You should have deactivated all of their accounts.
Well, I don't have to say it now because you already said it, but I'm saying the main account that's doing it, that gets brought up in all of those exchanges, that one's still active. So Instagram really didn't do their job. If we consider their job protecting their users from getting scammed, maybe that's not what they consider part of their jobs. It's just it was so clear because if we go to the DJ Booth had this long Twitter thread about this particular scam. If they could just see this pattern, because hundreds of people are probably reporting this, and the language is usually the same, like tag an artist that spits crack or send me your dopest track, 650 a slot. That's something that they could easily put into their spam detection systems and just say, okay, something's not right. This same profile has sent the same DM 50 times today. Something's not
Well,
right.
like, but you see, like that in of itself is not necessarily a quote unquote scam, and that's even what Z from DJ Booth said. It's like it's not necessarily a scam. It's just offering something that holds no value for $600, $500. So just that language alone, if you detect it, like I don't know if you should be banned. I think we should just be educating like we do, young creators that hopefully can see through this bullshit, and not fall or waste money participating in any of buying a mixtape slot or buying a feature or buying anything that doesn't really have any value. Because that same language that you just said, I imagine could be used for something that is of value, right?
I don't ever think that anyone, if someone is sending out 100 DMs to random people advertising something, that thing they're advertising is trash. But I'll also say
It's
this.
fine. I mean, I would say 99% of the time it's true, but just that language alone is not like a guaranteed scam. So I would hesitate, Instagram to write into their code if anybody DMs, somebody with the same language selling something, deactivate their account.
But that does fall under the category of unsolicited commercial contact, which is spam.
Right.
There are laws against that. So already under the Spam Can Act law, that's a violation. So yes, you can
Okay.
on the grounds of spam and mass commercial, uh, whatever they call it, messaging. But the other thing too is I look, yes, you pay $600, you'll get a mixtape slot on a tape that gets 100 total listens. Great. Your life changed. You're famous now. But so I see people would say, well, that's not, and even DJ Booth was careful about not calling that a scam. The reason I agree with somebody characterizing this as a scam is that when you get a DM from somebody and they're talking in the first person and saying, I want to put you on this tape. I like your music. And it's not actually them, that is a scam. I mean, if you've been talking to somebody about, some attractive person on Instagram for a year, talking about they want to date you, and then all of a sudden you realize, no, this is actually a man and not a woman, or this is actually a woman, not a man, or this is actually a 12-year-old boy and not, a 40-year-old widow that wants to cash app you millions of dollars every week. That's a scam. That's identity fraud. So that's another
Yeah,
element.
so that I agree with because I highly doubt that it was. I mean, I know that it was probably just the scammer that got access or convinced these artists to participate. I don't know how these guys got convinced to do this though. Like who their managers are. Like, was it their fault? Was it their manager's fault? Because I think that piece is interesting. Um,
That's what makes this whole thing stand out. Because, right, it was, I mean, you have legends, some of my favorite artists, and their DMs are being taken over by this. I guess we won't call it a scam, by this business venture, by
No, your
this.
point, your point, your point made a lot of sense. I think it's a scam. Yeah,
Well,
you're
regardless, it's coming from verified accounts for celebrities who have all the credibility in the world, and whoever's behind it, I mean, they must have some influence. They must have some type of, I mean, if it's not money, they must have some really serious connects in the business to be able to do this. It's just
right.
crazy to me how kind of sloppy the whole operation is, but I'm sure they made a killing. There,
Maybe they should have just ran a bot like World Star does. I'm still getting the World Star DMs on Facebook asking me to submit my my music.
World Star's only asking for like $50 though, right? 20, 40.
Right. So it's a little better since they're only trying to scam you out of 50 instead of 600.
No, no, no. I'm saying their margins are low. So World Star is cool, but if I got a DM from one of my favorite rappers of all time, that's a little different, and so the
Right.
stakes are higher. They can ask for a higher fee. So yeah, 600 versus 20. I'm not saying conceptually one is better than the other, but I'd rather get scammed for $20 than 600, and
Right.
then have my heart broken in the regard that one of my favorite artists ever is really not DMing me, and they really don't love my music, and they're really not trying to put me on. So it's not sustainable. I don't understand how these scams live on for so long on the internet with all of the articles written about it, all the people talking about it. But I think this goes back to the platforms. If the platforms did something, because right now I just don't see them doing
No,
anything.
so you put it on the platforms. I put it on up and coming artists like to educate themselves because you know there's nothing. Even me coming from outside of the music industry, I'm trying to think if we ever got scammed. Like the only thing, the closest thing to a scam that I think I paid $50 for was like getting an A&R to listen to some of Hop's music early at a conference. I would have that. So basically, I paid $50. I went into this room, and there were like an A&R panel. I pressed play on a couple songs. They said, "Oh, great," and then I left the room, and I was just like, I was like, "All right, thanks." Like that was a waste of $50. Um, I think that's the only thing I can think of where we guys. I mean, use your common sense, please. And report any and all scams or what you think may be a scam to our Facebook group, and just get some other people's opinions. If there's any urgency expressed in people reaching out to you, then it probably is a scam. If they're saying, "Man, you got to do this like tomorrow, or you're gonna miss the deadline, or Jada Kids is not gonna be happy with you, or whatever," then it's probably a scam. But anyway, I did want to just throw out an idea to our community and maybe get some feedback. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, put your feedback in the comments. But so there's a platform called Audrey for podcasts, right? So you go to Audrey and you sign up and you put what the focus of your podcast is, what the reach of your podcast is, and you put all your information in there. And then, you're basically look for other podcasts in your same field or topic, and other podcasts of like the same reach in terms of metrics. And, you potentially collaborate with them. Maybe sometimes it's just a shout out on your podcast, or maybe it's an actual collaboration on a podcast. But it's essentially what I've always thought was needed for producers and artists, because I understand the value of collaboration. I've seen the value of cross promotion. That was one of the ways Funk Volume became successful. And I think that you need a platform like this because artists have a lot of ego and are hesitant to reach out to one another, right? But I feel like if there's a platform that you go to, put your information in, put your metrics there, all your social media metrics, your monthly Spotify listeners, and then you reach out to other people of around the same size, and with the understanding that everybody on this platform already is there to collaborate, right? Like, so it's a little bit less, a little bit more likely that people will interact, because I think some artists want to collaborate, but they just don't want to reach out cold through Instagram or cold through Twitter or whatever. There's a lot of ego involved. Or if maybe you're looking for somebody to sing a hook or something like that, you can go on this platform and find some singers or songwriters and click on an example of their work. And I think that the same thing should exist for artists and producers. I've thought this for years. That's why I was so excited to see the platform for podcasts. So I just want to get your perspective on that, Payne, and then for people watching it, wherever you're watching it, leave us a comment, because I think it's a platform that needs to happen that I'm surprised hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I've seen versions of it, but there just hasn't been that one platform. There hasn't been like the Facebook. There hasn't been like the BeatStars. You know what I mean? The central platform that has that level of legitimacy and that user base where people just know if they use it, they're going to get exactly what they're looking for.
So you have seen a website like this? I mean, I think every website has the fun. I mean, you potentially could do this on Instagram. You can do this on Facebook, but I think the focus has to be, the messaging has to be, this is a community to collaborate. Like that's what the focus is. Right. Because I think that's what's going to break down the barriers. And if somebody's on there, you are more likely to reach out to them, because if they're on there, that they're there to collaborate. Whereas Instagram,
usually it's like a marketplace, or it's just kind of, like you said, it's vague. There's not an emphasis on collaboration. You don't go there knowing exactly what the ground rules are. So it's just kind of a space for negotiation. It's a lot of gray area.
right. So I think it would be super helpful. I actually pitched it to Futuristic to build out as like a community section of his new Indie Amplify site. I don't know if they're gonna take it and run with it, because I mean, I think it would be dope. I don't know how you monetize. I don't know how you monetize that. So I'm not sure if it's a great business idea, but it definitely can help, facilitate community and be a value add to the creator community. Maybe it's something I pitch to Abe. I'm gonna pitch it to Abe. I'm gonna say BeatStar because I'm sure the technology is super simple. Like it's super simple. The focus just has to be collaboration. And I think there would be a lot of people that would benefit from it. Create better music, get better reach. Just create better relationships. Network. But I actually reached out to the Audrey folks and had a conversation with them, and just kind of get a better understanding of where the idea came from, how their technology was built, and if they were interested in expanding. Because I was like, you guys already have this for podcasters. It's probably just a couple of tweaks if you wanted to make it, for producers and artists as well. I don't think they're gonna jump on that like immediately, but I'm a pitch it to Abe and see if he wants to do something with it because I think it could be super valuable.
Okay, speaking of Abe, so BeatStars, as we said earlier, did hit that $100 million payout to producers mark, and to get involved in the giveaways, because they are giving away a bunch of stuff to celebrate this. It's beatstars.world/100-million. So 100-million. Otherwise, you just go to BeatStars social media, and they're posting about the contest there too.
Dope.
I knew there was a specific website.
Dope. Or you can go to their Instagram page and find the link there.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan.
I try to be helpful. I think that wraps it up, man. We can go ahead and close this session out. I'm trying to get a guest on for next week, but I don't want to say who it is just yet.
Yeah, don't jinx this.
Just in case it doesn't happen. But yeah.
Once again, this is the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast powered by BeatStars, beatstars.world. We're live every Monday and Thursday on beatstars.live at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's totally free. It's interactive. You really don't want to miss it. If you have been missing it, I feel like I'm just going to keep reminding you of your poor decision making.
If you miss it, I feel like you probably bought the D365 whatever mixtape slot. That's what I feel like.
Or hey, you can make $12 million in a month, just buy this $75 beat selling guide and make a female profile and DM a bunch of rappers and beg them to buy your beats. Don't do that. We already talked about that. You could be on the next episode of our podcast. So don't be on the next episode of our podcast except as a guest. All right, peace everyone.
Peace.